So I'm totally stoked. Tim Drake, my favorite superhero, not just my favorite sidekick slash Robin, my favorite superhero of all time is finally back in DC Comics. Be ready, I'm about to go into some major spoilers for Detective Comics issue number 965. You've been warned.
I'm in love with a hero. I'm in love with the one who will...
If you're not aware of this, Tim Drake was taken off the field and put into limbo back in Detective Comics issue number 940 by the mysterious character known as Mr. Oz, which Mr. Oz's identity was revealed to be Jor-El in Action Comics issue number 987. Whether or not he really is the biological father of Superman or whether or not he's someone else, that's going to be explained probably later on down the line, but let's put that to the side. With Tim Drake being off the field, the Bat family and the DC Universe as a whole has all thought that Tim Drake has been dead, at least until recently. So Tim has been in this mysterious prison for the past year by Mr. Oz, with the Bat family and the DC Universe as a whole thinking that he's been dead. This issue starts up with Tim Drake being interrogated by Mr. Oz, or at least going back through some of his history. The purpose of the interrogation is to find out why Tim Drake became Robin to begin with. And one of the most awesome, spectacularly badass things about this issue is that we have his origin being restored. In 2011, when the DC Universe was rebooted during the New 52 universe, Scott Lobdell was the author for Teen Titans, and he gave Tim Drake a completely new origin. And in my personal opinion, it was garbage. It threw away everything that made Tim Drake great. I won't even go into that origin, just pretend like it never happened. I will say this though, technically in that origin, he was never really even a Robin. He was always known as Red Robin, and his real name isn't supposed to be Tim Drake. That was a name that was given to him after that origin. But now it seems as though his real origin, where he discovers that Dick Grayson is Nightwing or Robin, and that Tim knows that Batman needs a Robin to keep him stable. I'm not even gonna lie, when I started reading this, I started to tear up because I loved it that much. This whole origin story is paying tribute to the first storyline that Tim Drake was ever in. Tim made his first appearance in Batman issue number 436. However, his first storyline was called A Lonely Place of Dying, which started in Batman issue number 442. And this issue is starting the storyline A Lonely Place of Living. So I'm loving the two parallels between the two. After this short interrogation, Tim reveals to Mr. Oz that he was actually stalling him so he can hack into his computer. And even though I do love Tim Drake to death, and I do think that he is one of the smartest characters in the DC Universe, I kind of feel as though that may have been too easy for him. It is supposed to be Kryptonian technology, and even with Tim having some background with Kryptonian, I still feel as though that may not be something he could do. But that is a very minor thing. Regardless though, he does escape very briefly. That's when Mr. Oz reveals himself to be Jor-El. The interesting thing that Mr. Oz tells Tim is that he says that the prison is in his head. That's a very interesting thing to say. Whether or not this is going to be an entire story set in some sort of like mental field, or whether or not different memories are going to be brought in, or maybe alternate memories from other universes are going to be brought in, that's something I'm really interested to find out. Mr. Oz leaves him at this time, probably to go see his son Superman. Red Robin, feeling very lonely, hears Batman on the intercom. Turns out Batman is actually locked up in the prison with him. And of course Tim, who was not put back in his prison cell by Mr. Oz, who decided he should just be able to roam the prison freely, decided to release Batman from his own cell. Unfortunately though, he released everyone from his cell block. When he goes to meet Batman, turns out it's not Bruce Wayne, it's actually an adult Tim Drake. Or older Tim Drake, being the Tim Drake in the DC Universe is supposed to be close to college age, so he's almost adult. But you get what I mean. Regardless, this is the Tim Drake from the Titans of Tomorrow storyline in the old DC Universe. Or at least it appears to be him. The Titans of Tomorrow storyline was a story that was written by Jeff Johns in the old DC Universe back in Teen Titans. The storyline had the Teen Titans meet up with their older counterparts, where in a crisis it took out all their mentors, the Teen Titans took up their mantles. So Tim Drake took up the title of being Batman in that universe, but he was much more murderous. So it was obviously a very dark timeline. So in this issue, with the two Tim Drakes meeting each other, it kind of leaves the question up as to whether or not that past history ever happened, or whether or not it's part of an alternate history and that maybe he's going to remember it. But the meeting between these two Tim Drakes is very short-lived, being that Red Robin released everyone on that cell block. That included Doomsday, who was also being held there. And that's where this issue ends, leaving on a huge cliffhanger. My thoughts on this immediately is like, oh hells yeah. I'm really happy with the origin being restored. As to how his origin was restored, that's a huge mystery. It may have something to do with Superman in the Superman Reborn storyline, where the Superman from the old universe merged with the New 52 universe's history, and it caused maybe some sort of ripple effect in the DC universe, making all of these other changes. I mean, that could be an explanation. Or Or maybe there's something else that's at play that we're not aware of, which I'm really hoping is going to happen. I was really hoping that Connor Kent, the real Con-El, Superboy, was going to be locked up with Red Robin, but you know what? There is a lot more to be explained. As of the making of this video, Jeff Johns is the chief creative officer of DC Comics, and he's also a huge Connor Kent Superboy fan, so I am confident that he will bring back Connor Kent at some point. I'm personally hoping that Tim Drake is going to start remembering certain memories that may have been taken from him. This brings up so many different questions as to Tim Drake's history. Also the question as to why Mr. Oz decided to take Tim Drake out of the different timelines. In a previous Detective Comics issue, Tim Drake saw something when he briefly escaped, and he said that's not possible. What is it that he saw? Did his history of forming Young Justice with Bart Allen, also known as Impulse, and Connor Kent, Superboy, ever happen? There's so many different things that I'm really stoked about finding out, and I'm really excited to have Tim Drake back. But what did you guys think? I've been kind of rambling on a bit, so I kind of want to leave it at that point. Leave comments down below and let me know what you thought. Today is Comic Book Day, and there were a lot of different comics that came out that I was really excited about, but this is the one that I was looking forward to the most, obviously. But with that, thank you guys for watching me in this video. Check out my Patreon site when you get a chance. Check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later.
He's a prominent figure.
There was another Tim Drake in the Batman Beyond comic book that also vanished. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to end up seeing him in this storyline as well.